Darren asks, how can we become more motivated to complete the mundane but necessary daily tasks that salespeople have to complete?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of just activities that are involved, right, in filling your funnel and getting those calls in. And I think we should really think about what are those key metrics that we're going to be tracking? What are those activities that do produce the results we're looking for? And I like ideally to track those metrics, make a game out of it if we can. So if that's within the sales team, maybe a little friendly or healthy competition, maybe some type of a scoreboard that we're tracking or scorecard. I think it's great to be able to see, we know that if we make X number of calls, it's going to result in Y number of meetings. And for every, 10 meetings, we're going to get Z number of opportunities. And those opportunities are going to close. And that's how we actually make our number. Oftentimes we get so focused on the results, right? Did we make our number this quarter or not? That it's really hard to say, well, I don't know what to do. We're working really hard. No, let's go back up to the funnel, to the very first call, the very first emails, look at those numbers and start tracking. And we always say, sure, there are great systems out there that'll do that and very elaborate dashboards and reports that you can provide. If you don't have those, or if they're not giving you what you need, even just a tally sheet, right? Just keep your own batting average. Everybody should have a general idea of, well, for every call, how many times do they pick up? And for every time they pick up, how many times do I actually get a meeting? Once we get those numbers, now we can start actually improving the metrics and managing them and trying different things and seeing how they result. I think that's one way of breaking out of, some of the just drudgery and mundane tasks, as you said, that go sometimes with the day-to-day sales position.
I'm a fan of time bounding. So if you've got mundane tasks and they recur daily, don't let them be your procrastination. Don't let them be your distraction from the work of selling. Instead, time bound them. So you might say, look, I know I have to do these reports and these orders. Here's the time of day when I do that. It's 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, or it's 8:30 to 9 and 4:30 to 5. You pick, but you limit the time and you force yourself. It's not about multitasking during that time. It's about head down, do that work, get done with it, and don't let it be in your way. And as it crops up through the day, you're putting it into that basket to get to during your time-bound, set-aside, focused activity.
Don't use motivation. It's as simple as that. It's terrible for these tasks that you've got to use every day. You've got to use habits. You've got to form habits versus having to use your willpower. Willpower, and science has shown this many times in many studies, you only have a finite amount of it each day. It's like a battery that recharges overnight. And without boring everyone too much, that's literally what's happening. When you go to sleep, there's all kinds of neurotoxins and weird chemicals in your brain that is created as a waste product as your brain functioning throughout the day. That fades off and it's sucked away into your spinal fluid. You literally reset. Your battery recharges every single day, but this willpower is only finite. Good example of this, you don't crave crappy food first thing in the morning, right? If you're going to have a healthy meal, it's probably breakfast or lunch that you're going to do it. But you've been working hard. It's 8, 9, 10 o'clock. Your willpower's low. That's when you jump for that pizza, that soda, whatever it is. So with that said, we want to reduce the amount of willpower we've got to use on these tasks because they're mundane, but the daily, they're important. It could be cold calling. It could be doing your emails. It could be reporting, whatever it is. We need to turn them into a habit. That is the solution for this.
Well, we can become more motivated once we know what our purpose is. If we have identified what our true purpose in life is, and we feel that there is a fire burning within us, it's going to be much easier to stay and find motivation. You can't expect everybody around you to motivate you. You have to be motivated from within, and you have to have a trigger that's going to pull you forward through the dark times. That could be a rough 1 hour. It could be a rough week or a rough quarter, but unless you're in touch with that purpose, you're going to have an uphill climb all the time when you hit those rough patches. Also, keep in mind that motivation comes and goes in waves. It's not something that somebody has permanently. We're not 100% motivated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you understand the undulations of motivation and that motivation ebbs and flows, you could roll with it. And you could find it much easier to be motivated when you understand that it's going to be happening in temporary evolutions.
I'm a big fan of list building. I think that if we put them down, they're really not as daunting as we think. So we think about making 60 calls, let's say if that was one of our goals, it may look pretty daunting when we look at it. When we think about making 60 calls and the number that are going to go to voicemail and the number of actual conversations we're going to have, let's just assume a 10% connect rate. We're talking just about 6 conversations. Those conversations can lead to meetings or appointments. So I think that if we write them down, we kind of figure out how long does that really take. If you ask someone how long does 60 calls take, they might tell you that, that's half a day. No, it's probably closer to 90 minutes. It's a very small part of the overall day. So whatever those mundane tasks are, whether it's updating Salesforce, making cold calls, sending out a series of emails that get to really a campaign that you're running, those are all things that really, I think, would lend themselves to building a list, doing it, and just applying it on a regular basis. No magic answer there.
Do you have a B2B sales question that you'd like our experts to answer? Well, just head over to salesman.org/ask and ask it today.